First, I want to start by having you do this exercise with us. Please look at the picture in front of you for 5 seconds. Here's the psychological process you just went through in those 5 seconds. First, you look at the woman's appearance. Her clothes looked expensive and she was well groomed. This led you to think she was successful and wealthy. Second, you looked at her body language. She took large strides and walked fast. This led you to think she was confident, powerful, and determined to get where she wanted to go. Third, you made assumptions about other areas of her life, such as her job and her lifestyle. Based on her clothes and body language, you thought she must have a high-powered job, be in charge of a large office, and live in a large house. Fourth, from the few seconds you saw this woman, you formed a first impression filter. So if you bump into this woman again at your local coffee shop, everything you see or hear about her will be filtered through the first impression you just formed. And all this happened within 1/24th of a second. This process can either have a positive or a negative impact on your personal brand. It's important that you're aware of the aspects that create your personal brand and how you can create and maintain a positive one. Once you have established it, it's hard for people to change that impression they have about you, so you want to avoid any damage to it. We're here to show you the exact skills and steps to take to help you find your branding image and how to create a positive one. We will talk about tips on appearance, your branding statement, and make you aware of your default look, and even help you find out how good of a listener you are. We've all struggled with succeeding in the business world because we were not skilled in the proper steps to take to market ourselves. People don't join jobs, people join people, and that's why it's important to know how to successfully market yourself as a brand before entering a job to reach your full potential.
This is an example of someone who is not showing good listening skills. She has her earphones in and she's glued to her computer screen and she's not focused on the things that are around her. And this can be a negative impact on how she listens and gets information because she's not actually listening. She might be there, but she's not actually there. A way to resolve this solution is to give your undivided attention to the person that is speaking. So you'll take out your earphones and you'll close your laptop and you'll take away anything that could be a distraction to you or the person that's speaking.
Do's and don'ts on how to dress. This is important because you want to create a best first impression whenever you're meeting someone new. This is important because you want to create a best first impression, because if you don't, this will already start you off on a bad note.
Your appearance matters in more ways than we think of each day. When we think of appearance, we think of how we look. It is a big deal, as we know generally. Our first appearance sets the stage of how people view us and develop an image of who we are. If people are not drawn to you, they will not acknowledge you. And if they do not acknowledge you, well, you lost that opportunity to capture them. Research shows that appearance strongly influences other people's perception of your financial success, authority, trustworthiness, intelligence, and suitability for hire or promotion. And because perception is often reality, what you wear not only communicates who you are in the minds of others, but also influences your level of career development. Presenting a clean and professional image is critical for several reasons, not the least of which is to instill a sense of confidence in your ability to complete the necessary tasks in a professional manner. Above all, the most important aspect of your appearance is grooming. If you look unkempt or too casual, you could imply that you don't care enough about yourself to bother. This can lead people to wonder if you approach your work with care and discipline, or if you will eventually become sloppy. In this before image, you can clearly see that this would be an example of someone who would be considered sloppy and would give off a negative impression to anyone he might meet. His shoes aren't dress shoes. His shirt isn't tucked in, and he isn't cleanly shaven, and his hair looks like he just rolled out of bed. Even though he might not mean to, he could possibly be considered lazy and unprofessional by anyone he might meet for his apathy in his appearance. This is important because you want to create the best impression of yourself, and many will judge you based off the way you dress. Always dress one notch above the expectations of people, and you will never have to worry about being under or overdressed. In the after image you see, someone who cares about his image and is willing to put in a little more effort to make sure he gives off a positive image to whoever he may meet. He has polished dress shoes on, his shirt is neatly tucked in with a nice brown belt. He has a tie on and is cleanly shaven, and his hair is fixed. Just by waking up 10 extra minutes and putting a little more effort in your appearance, it can help you tremendously in your job or your social life.
Your branding statement communicates to others who you are in the workplace. In other words, your branding statement is the person you are willing to be in a company. Today I have 3 steps for building your personal branding statement. Step 1. You need to consider your outlook on the world. In other words, it can be your values or morals of how you think of things that need to be worked on in the workplace. Step 2, what are your individual goals? Would you want to be a CEO, or would you just want to work as an employee? Or would you rather be a manager of a store? You can also think of it what would you want to get out of this job or this company? Step 3, consider your attributes and your personal history. What are your strengths and weaknesses? And are you more of a communicator or a doer? And once you figure out your attributes, think about how you discovered these. Did you discover them through experience or through trial?
An important aspect of your personal branding image is making sure you have an appealing default look. Everyone has one, so it's important to be aware of your own because that's what people see when you are not paying attention. Someone can judge you based off of how you look and make a decision that you are rude or mean without even having a single conversation with you. You can be the nicest person, but if your default look is bad, it can damage your entire brand.
I like to show a good example of someone who has a bad default look. Many people are caught in the same situation, but they don't realize it. So if you want to discover your default look, then here are some specific skills you can take to discover it and change it if you're not happy with it.
This is an example of a bad default look.
For everyone to participate in this activity, I want everyone to take out your phone or mirror if you have it. I'll give you a couple of seconds to get that out. So now, once you have your phone out, you're going to open up the camera setting and you're going to have it facing towards you. Once you've done that, you're going to close your eyes, relax all of your muscles, and not think about anything. Have your mind completely blank, all of your muscles relax, and then once you've done that, you're going to open up your eyes and you're going to look at yourself. If you're frightened by the person you're looking at, then maybe it's time to change your default look.
Images are created in 1/24th of a second, so it's very important for your personal branding success to have a good default look. Hopefully by using these steps we have given you today, you can improve your default look as well.
After Alex learned the steps, he realized how to fix his bad default look. I did better than last time. Like, this is so much worse. We really have.
The purpose of this listening exercise is to emphasize that what we are asked to do isn't always what is expected. I'll be reading a brief story about a train and you need to pay close attention to as I will be asking a question afterwards about the situation being described. A train leaves the station with 3 passengers and stops at Paris and 5 more get on. It next stops at Albany and 2 passengers get off. Next stop is Pleasantville and 23 new passengers get on board. The train makes its next stop in Dallas where 21 get off and no one gets on. The train chugs along until it reaches Hollywood where 3 more passengers get on. The next stops are Buffalo where 6 get on and 4 get off. Moosehead where no one gets on or off, and Clarksburg where 24 passengers get on board. The train reaches the end of the route in Los Angeles where everyone gets off. My question for you is, how many stops did the train make? Simply that participants were more focused on how many passengers were left on the train when it reached its final destination. How many of you were more focused on this than the number of stops? Can anyone answer the question of how many stops the train did make? The answer to the question concerning how many stops the train made is 9, including its final destination. Some participants may have focused on the wrong criteria while listening to the story. Responses might be that they assumed that the question would be how many passengers were left at the end of the train ride. Often our assumptions cause us to focus on the wrong things when we communicate with others, and that we need to keep an open mind about what may be most important in critical communications.